Are you confused on the most effective warm-up strategy? Because if you're doing it wrong, you're probably going to get injured, right? Let's answer this question once and for all so you can have confidence knowing you're doing the right thing. This video will cover the benefits of stretching, finding the best warm-up routine for you, and the best cool-down strategy. And after reviewing the research myself, you might be pretty surprised by the results. Plus, at the end, I'll be sharing 3 practical Run Smarter tips to apply on your next run. The aim of a warm-up is to prepare the body for a specific activity, in this case, running. Across recreational runners, static stretches, dynamic stretches, and joint mobility routines are all popular options. But Brody, all of these stretches take time. Time I don't have. Well, let's break these down and come up with the most effective time-saving warm-up. Static stretches are probably the most popular, and research does suggest that stretching may be beneficial for injury prevention. But before you go away and plan a stretching routine, let's take a closer look. This paper elaborates its benefits in sports with a sprint running component, but not in endurance-based running activities. This is also the conclusion of Baxter's paper, suggesting that stretching has no impact on the risk of chronic injury in endurance runners. On top of that, researchers also failed to show a connection with stretching and running performance. Why is the research failing to find this link? Well, if we compare runners to a gymnast or a dancer, you can see that the body doesn't really need to go through a large range of movement. And remember, the aim of a warm-up is to prepare the body for what it's about to undertake. However, there are the occasional runners who are so stiff that they cannot complete a fluent running action. But this is rarely muscle tightness. Instead, it's more joint stiffness. So if you fall within this small demographic, you might benefit from joint mobility exercises, such as exercises of the lower back, the ankles, and the knees and hips, rather than static stretches. But Brody, how do I know if I need to do these mobility exercises? All you need to do is perform a simple experiment. Alternate each run with and without mobility exercises and look for any noticeable difference. If you cannot tell a difference in your stride, it might not be worth the time. Wait, if you're saying that the warm-up isn't important, why do so many runners stretch? While stretching may not reduce your injury risk, sometimes stretching just feels good. In fact, some runners can feel better after conducting a warm-up, so their routine may be warranted. Either that, or they've been following the wrong information and they're convinced that it reduces injury risk, which now, after watching this video, you have the upper hand. So if you want to find a warm-up routine that makes you feel better, my recommendation is to compare the variety of static, dynamic, and mobility warm-ups before your running sessions and compare this to no warm-up and pick which one makes you feel the best. You can then see if the benefit it creates warrants the time taken to do that warm-up routine. For example, I know a quick 5-second stretch of all the main muscle groups makes me feel slightly better. If it took me 5 minutes to achieve the same benefit, I'd probably scrap it. Switching things up, let's talk about the cool down. Now the aim of the cool down is to gently settle the body back into its resting state. People do this by stretching, foam rolling, maybe a gentle cardio, some hot-cold therapy, and a variety of other modalities. But again, the research can't find tangible physical benefits to these methods. Unfortunately, they don't reduce your risk of injury, remove lactic acid, or reduce the severity of muscle soreness. However, there is a benefit of a cool down that may be more important for some runners. And notice before, I said that these methods may not have any physical benefits. This is because I believe some of these strategies can have really powerful mental benefits. See, after you exercise, your mind and body need to relax in order to enter recovery mode. If you are physically or mentally stressed after working out, your body can't enter this recovery mode, which is a crucial phase to adapt and to get stronger. So here is my recommendation. If you do an easy run and reduce your physical and mental stress shortly after, a cool down isn't that important. If you do an intense session and you're really worked up, perhaps a light cool down with some walking or other cardio activity for 5 to 10 minutes might be warranted. But if you are stretching and foam rolling because you think it's doing good, but you find it boring, don't bother. Okay, here are my 3 Run Smarter tips to consider on your next run. Tip Tip number 1 is to constantly test and tweak your warm-up and hone in on what feels best for you. You can also compare this to different running sessions. For example, for a short easy run, you may not find any benefit with stretching. But if you're comparing this to a speed session, perhaps you find benefit with some dynamic stretches beforehand. On top of that, I recommend you reevaluate every 6 to 12 months as your body changes. Maybe stretches aren't beneficial for you right now, but maybe they are in a few years' time. Run Smarter tip number 2 is to then justify the preparation time with effectiveness. For example, if it took 40 minutes of stretching to achieve a slight improvement, it's probably not worth it. Run Smarter tip number 3 is to respect the importance of mental recovery. Hone in on the best and quickest routine to help you physically and mentally unwind. It's not about training hard, it's about training smart and requires an equal balance of load and recovery. If you're a bit deflated because you assumed that stretching would increase your running performance, well, I'm here to cheer you up because I have another video containing 3 simple running hacks for quick running results.